What's up, guys? My name is Lake Castlevania, here again with my good friend David Alexander from Icon Collective. So this is the 8th and final video in our series on music theory. We've laid down for you a couple of different
basic ground rules.
Yeah, basic ground rules. But today we're going to talk about how to break the rules, how to step outside of the things we've shown you, and get even more creative with the music that you're making.
So I think one of the things that we can start with is the idea of the C minor scale that we've been talking about the whole time. I'd like to actually show you how to remove 2 notes from that minor scale and turn it into what we call a 5-tone scale, or a pentatonic scale. And the reason I like this combination of notes,
is basically you can't hit a wrong note. They all sound good together every time. So if you're just riffing out with some friends or trying to come up with a melody that you know is going to work, this is a good one to just jump to.
Exactly. So the main scale, what we do to any minor scale is we pull out the 2nd note and we pull out the 6th note. So let's show an example of that. Here's C minor. The 2nd note would be D, and the 6th note would be A flat. So if we avoid these notes in the process of making a melody, we can continue to leave the melody being very uplifting. I've heard a lot of tracks that use a pentatonic scale or these collection of 5 notes. It just works. So I haven't pre-thought of anything that I'm going to play, but I'll just. That's so hooky, right?
Yeah.
And then you combine that with, different bass notes within the scale.
Can riff all day on it.
Record that. I may want to use that. So there it is, a very simple tip. Instead of adding more stuff, take stuff away. What are we taking away?
Taking away the 2nd and 6th note in the scale.
You can use that for bass lines, riffs, melodies. There you have it, the pentatonic scale. The next step we want to show you is based off the previous pentatonic scale. And what we're going to do is we're going to add 1 note that is completely outside the scale to turn this into a blues scale. But I'd like to do this from the perspective of E flat minor scale. So let me show you that scale first. It's E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, B, and D flat. So it looks like this. It's interesting because when I think about the pattern, what the scale looks like, I always see a horseshoe right here. Right? If you look at the visualizer and then the 2 black notes. So if you see that all the way up and down the keyboard, you have the E flat minor scale. But now to turn that into the pentatonic scale, we're going to take away the 2nd and the 6th. And what are we left with?
That leaves you with just the black notes. So I always think of the E flat scale when I think of the pentatonic scale, because it's an easy way to just riff on all these black notes and never hit a bad sour note.
Exactly. It's all right here. Except I just hit a
Except for when you hit a white note.
Right, but here we go. So there's the pentatonic scale. I think of that as a Stevie Wonder scale. Is that wrong? So what we want to do is we want to look at the note that's in between the 4th and the 5th note, which should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we find a note that's not in the scale. And that's what I call our blues note. So if we add that note to the pentatonic scale, we have a blues scale. Right? And it's depending on how you play it, you can make it sound bluesy or you can make it sound dark. We actually have an example by Bro Safari.
Yep.
And they use this scale in an interesting way. So let's play a little bit of that so they can hear it.
Cool. Here we go.
It's kind of driving.
Yeah.
So they're basically playing 1, the 5, the blue note. So they're just using the 1st, the 3rd, the blues, and the 5th. It's not exactly correctly, but you get the idea.
Right.
So there, we've broken the rule. We've taken 2 notes out, and we've added a note that's not even in this scale. That is the blues scale.
So our next example of how to break the rules is a move that I like to use a lot.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, Knife Party use it in some of their tracks. It's called the Phrygian scale. And basically what we're doing is just showing you another way to alter the scale.
The C minor, the minor scale.
Right, alter the minor scale by changing just the 2 and dropping that down 1 pitch. So in C minor, instead of playing D, we're going to play C sharp or D flat.
And actually, I hear this a lot in techno. I use it a lot in my bass lines. Here's a couple of examples of what it sounds like. Really kind of dark sound, right?
Yeah.
I know that Knife Party uses this a lot.
Yeah.
That's in F minor. But again, instead of playing the 2nd note on the scale, we play the 1 pitch below it. A lot of mileage on that one.
Yeah.
I hear it a lot in horror movies.
Yeah, I used it in the film score that I did recently for John Wick.
If I were to play that on a piano in upper register, it would sound very, very creepy.
Yeah.
So Phrygian scale, there you have it. Next alteration that we want to show you is based on kind of the Phrygian scale that we just showed you, where you remove the 2nd note. What we're going to do now is we're going to continue to use that flat 2nd, not use the 2nd, and add another note that's outside the scale. What we do is we go to the 3rd note in the scale, which if we're in C minor, it would be E flat, and we're just going to raise it by 1 pitch. So if we combine that with the flat 2nd, you get what's called a Spanish gypsy kind of scale. And this can be very useful in tracks as well. It sounds like this. So you don't have to play that melody, but by changing that minor 3rd and raising it up a pitch, you get a lot of mileage out of that Spanish scale.
Absolutely. All right, the next example that we're going to show you on breaking some of the rules that we laid down earlier is a trick that I use a good bit. So in our first example of when we showed you chords, we told you that the 5 chord would be minor. However, you can change that to be major, and that'll give your track a little more of a classical sort of feel. In fact, I used this style in a track I did called Disintegration, which was on my Provocation EP, which came out on Mousetrap in September of last year.
2014, yeah.
13.
13.
We're not in the future yet.
Yeah, I think it's 2015. Anyways, play this amazing track. There it is, there's the movement.
Yeah, so you can hear that kind of classical feel that it has to it. Again, it's a move that I use a lot, and I think it's really cool.
I like it. If we show that example in C minor, the 1 chord is C minor, the 5 chord is G minor. But if we make that major, it kind of has a stronger pull to the 1 and gives it that classical feel. You can also use that when you're developing melodies, so as you're playing in the C minor scale. Very classical. So there's another little breaking the rule. Don't stick with the quality of the chord. On the 5, make it major instead of minor. And finally, the concept of changing that 5 chord to a major, you can sort of apply that to any of the other chords in the scale. For example, the 1 chord is in a minor scale is minor, but why not break the rule and make that major? So you could have a progression, and then here it is with it major. a lot more uplifting. You could also change the 4 chord. Normally it's minor. But what if you make it major? Kind of a resolution there, like a cleaning of the palette, just feels uplifting.
Yeah.
You can try that with any of the chords in the scale. You can take the 3 chord, and it's usually major, and make it minor. Break some of the rules. It's going to lead you down some interesting paths. And these are 5 or 6 tips that we use all the time.
Yeah. Some of them can be a little bit uncommon, but they can be fun when you break them out.
Yeah, it can make your track stand out in a way that stand out above the rest from the others. So I just want to thank you for your attention. If any of these concepts don't make sense, go back and watch the other 7 videos that we put together. To wrap things up, I just want to thank Dylan for taking the time to come down to Icon Collective, the music production school here in Burbank, and sharing some of your insights and some of the tools that you use to make this amazing music. Where can people find you and learn more about you?
The best place is probably just go to my website, lakecastlevania.com. We'll put it up on the screen. And then there's links to all my other, hit me up on Twitter. If you guys have questions about anything, I like to be very interactive with fans of my music, and of course, anybody that's checking out these videos. So.
Beautiful. And if you want to learn how to live a creative lifestyle, wake up every morning, make music, come check us out. Icon Collective, you'll find the web address at the bottom, learntoproduce.com. We're in LA. We would love for you to come down and take a tour, spend a day with us, and see what this whole making music thing is about. I'm David Alexander. It's my friend Dylan. Thanks for your time.